Okay, so now we have something of an impulse buy. This is, as you can see, the Revell 1200 North Cormorant Oil Platform, which has recently been reissued as a limited edition. I did not know this, but I happened to be in Inverurie today and saw it in Unlimited Models, which is a nice little model shop in Inverurie. Model shops are at the moment hard to come by kind of shop, and hopefully Unlimited Models will continue to be available for the people of Aberdeenshire to buy models in person. And I happened across the North Cormorant platform in the window, and I was very glad to see it because it's been a very hard kit to get hold of on the internet. It's not been issued for a while, but now it seems to have been reissued, and as you can see it was quite expensive at £90, but it's the only oil rig kit I know of in plastic, and well, it's not a rig, it's a platform, of course, even if it does say oil rig on it, but that's a detailed difference for most people, I see. So I've already cut the tape from the box, and we'll have a look what's inside. So we can immediately see a large amount of grey, yellow, red plastic, and we can also see some drinking straws, which seem to actually be drinking straws, which will be the risers for the wells that go into the sea from underneath the platform. And there is some line for the cranes, and here are the instructions. The standard Revell newsprint type instructions. We have some decals, which are the helipad and the nameplates, and some warning transfers, it seems. Have quite a number of steps in the construction. It seems to have a modular construction, much like the real thing. 131 steps, finishing with the derrick and the cranes. Okay, so it's my intention to build this platform as it is today. Today it's owned by TAQA, which is a UAE company with a large base in Aberdeen, and they currently operate the North Cormorant field and this platform. So hopefully, without too much difficulty, it can be brought up to date with some new dishes and some new improvements that have been done since 1981 when it was installed. So I'll now open up the bags to make sure you've got all the parts, and we can have a look at the detail we've got. Okay, so let's have a look at the parts. To begin with, we have the drinking straws, which do look a lot like drinking straws, but they are in fact the riser pipes, which go from the well deck down to the seabed, and inside these pipes are the wells themselves. We also have this string, which will be the cables of the cranes. Might replace this with fishing line. Okay, so these are the first parts. We have this part, which looks like it's a bit of deck plating. For module number 2 and 3, and 3 and 1. Okay. Okay, so we have several similar parts like that. These are obviously, this looks like the control room deck. Several more of these. It looks like we have quite chunky moulded in detail, but I'm sure this can be improved with a bit of detailing, maybe adding some 1200 model ship components. There's also a quite a heavy looking diamond plate decking effect, which I'm sure if it is diamond plate would be massively overscale at 1/200. And then we have a whole bag full of parts of crane and what looks like the derrick and the flare stack perhaps. Now this looks okay. There doesn't seem to be too much in the way of flash on these parts, and it looks like there is some riveting. Seems to be a strange texture on some of the parts though, but it doesn't seem to be anything that's too objectionable. I can see hardly any flash on these parts at all, although they are a little bit warped. I'm sure it's nothing that can't be corrected. I'm sure these are quite usable depending upon your especially for the derrick crane itself, which seems to be this, and for the actual cranes of the platform. I'm sure these are quite usable, although we'll need some very careful snipping from the sprues. We seem to have some more decking. These would seem to be the corrugated sides of the accommodation block, not the camera. Again in grey plastic, looks like pretty good condition on the moulds. Quite sharp corrugations, nothing in the way of flash. I seem quite impressed by that. This is, as you can see, module 6. Helipad with moulded on helipad, which perhaps could be sanded down for the decal, and see if I can get 1/200 net to go across there, which they put on to give the helicopter grip, and maybe even get a 1/200 helicopter. Some other structural parts here. Oh, a large sprue with what look like components for the jacket, for the framework, and perhaps well heads and some tanks. We have some more structural components again. We have the sort of diamond plate effect, which is probably overscale. And here it looks like we have the cellar deck and here and the well heads themselves. A few ejector pin marks on here, but nothing too serious. Again, this strange texture, which seems to be due to the mould not filling, sinkholes rather. But I think this will be underneath, so this won't be too prominent. Okay, next we have a very colourful bag of sprues, which includes bright yellow components. Module 3. Not exactly sure where these will go. These would seem to be external bracing structures of some kind. It looks like a smaller crane. Again, no flash. Well, that's a little bit of flash, but it's on the sprue. And the components seem to be a little bit chunky, but they're generally free of flash and are well enough moulded, but there are some sink marks. But look like more parts of the accommodation. Again, corrugated, but cleanly enough moulded, and no flash. Again, very similar part, it's the same part, it's a duplicate. Deck plates, or sides with corrugations. Yep, so plenty of corrugated sheeting. more frameworks. Some ejector pin marks on here, and module 4 moulded in. I'm not sure if that will show. A bit of flash there, but nothing you can't handle. These are the lifeboats and lifeboat derricks. Cleanly moulded, but also a little bit chunky. Okay, so now here we have the railings. These seem to be, and ladders, these seem to be a little bit overscale, as you'd expect for plastic railings, but quite free of flash. It would be a nightmare trying to clean these up. Yes, I intend to replace these with 1 to 200 photo etched metal brass railings, which I believe are available, although I might end up using some of these, such as the step balustrade type railings, which I might not be able to get in the right shape, but the actual railings themselves should be relatively easy to replace. Okay, so we have a large section of decking here with a little bit of flash. I haven't noticed any missing parts yet. Again, overscale sort of diamond or waffle pattern. Okay, more section of jacket with well slots here, moulded in black as you can see, but no mould lines I can detect, which is good, and no flash again. Okay, what look like more well slots and deck plating, again with the waffle pattern, but it looks like quite free of flash, with a little bit of warping perhaps, and quite a few sink marks, and what looks like machining on the mould, but hopefully this won't show up. It'll be underneath the model, I imagine. More yellow framework parts, again free of flash. That looks good, because it would be a nightmare trying to clean these up. Quite heavy and thick plastic for the jacket itself, the support legs of the platform. This is some of the heaviest styrene I've ever seen. These are solid plastic legs with a few ejector pin marks, but hopefully these will be sufficient to hold up the platform. I wouldn't like to have to replace them with brass tubes or anything like that. Another section of well supports and jacketing, looking quite clean if a little bit chunky. And some final sprues with a bit of moulding marks, but nothing too serious, and quite free of flash except for this little bit here. So I think that is it. Okay, so let's have a quick flip through the instruction book to get an idea of the assembly style we have. Very standard Revell type symbols and notes. We have a sprue map and some painting instructions. Instructions start with the jacket, as you might expect, and then we move on to the construction modules. Yep, looks quite clear. And it looks like we can see those deck plating with the chunky detail gets rendered by frameworking, so it might not be too much of a job to make this look a little bit more lifelike, with some detailed parts, and perhaps some 1-200 crewmen painted and crewwomen painted orange, or whatever colour boiler suits TAQA and the contractors like Schlumberger use. Again, seems to be railings going in at regular points. Various production modules and piping. This is the accommodation block going together. with a lot of railings, gantries and steps on the outside. Some more production modules. Nothing much in the way of pipe work. I'd have to get some photographs of the actual platform to see what pipe work can be seen. That's the main well cellar deck, and there's the derrick hung together. And the final building of the cranes, and then the final assembly of the various modules, then the accommodation blocks. It's not unlike the actual construction of the platform itself. So seems to be at first glance a very cleanly moulded, if a little bit chunky model, pretty much as you'd expect for what's now a relatively old kit in this kind of scale, but it's the only plastic kit of a offshore oil platform that I know. And hopefully I will be able to show you some of the construction steps and some of the detail I plan to do. So that is something to look forward to. So thank you for watching, and look forward to building this excellent kit.